Morning all, how are you doing? So I'm a bit late this morning, technical problems. Just upgraded my PC yesterday and it won't stream, so I've had to go back to my laptop, which is what I normally stream off for some reason. It wasn't interested in starting this morning, so I had to quickly flick over to the laptop back up. So apologies for that. So I'm completely unprepared. I've literally just opened my charts and I've no idea what's going on. Morning Peter, morning Andy, morning Rahat. Right, we've got 2 minutes to the open. So let's have a quick look at what is going on. Sorry, bear with me one sec. There we go. Right. So there's a gap fill on the DAX potentially this morning, which is kind of starting. It's not particularly big, but there is one there. So that might be worth a go this morning at the open. They might come up and just quickly fill this and then decide where to go from there. Morning, Adrian. So keep an eye on that. We've got 1 minute to the open. We'll see where it goes when we open up. And we'll have a look at all the FX pairs, have a look at the news for the week, the usual stuff, have a look at the COT report. Big changes on the COT report this week. Not quite sure how much attention we can really pay to that. Obviously, everything's all over the place at the moment. So we'll have a look at it, though. But I'm not really paying a massive amount of attention to the COT report at the minute. Other things are guiding the market, as we know at the moment. So bear with me one sec. I hope we can get a nice little pop on this at the open. Let me just flick over there. Okay. So market's open. Looks like he wants to go long. Trying anyway. See if we can break these this initial opening high. If we can get up above there, we've got a good chance of getting that fill this morning. Spread is still unusually high this morning. Haven't got the ask line on this one for some reason. Oh, nice I have. Just haven't got it in the colour. Mine's alright. Okay, we've just taken these highs out. Looks like we are going long. Potentially. Thinking about it. No, struggling. Undecided. It's not a massive gap. It's worth a go, but it's not big. So it's up to you if you want to take that as an attempt to gap fill this morning on the DAX. But overall, we obviously had an update on Friday, a big sort of hammer put in. We're still up in that zone where I think everything's going to start to tumble from here. We've had 4 solid up days on the US indices. Very big pushes. So I think we've got a very good chance of a down day today, at least a push down, if not a proper down day today. But we'll see what happens at the open. It's all opening fairly strong at the moment. Nothing dramatic over the weekend from the war to report, so nothing particularly interesting that's going to impact us there. It does look like DAX is going this morning. Got this little level here, potentially to watch out for on the DAX. Where's my pen gone? So I'm totally unorganised this morning. So this level here, just need to watch that level. Struggling there. There we go. It's popped through now. So potentially, oh, and there we go. No, it's just rejected. I was going to say, it looked like it just popped through that level. Didn't. It just rejected straight off of it. On the DAX, we have got this gap fill to the downside to fill as well. On the daily. Difficult, very difficult to know which way this is going today. Looking short. I'm going to give that time to some time to open. I'm not going to. Don't think I'm going to trade it this morning. I just want to see what happens this morning, because the thing that concerns me at the moment is this massive push. It's very difficult to get a directional bias on this. I was expecting us to go short on Friday, and we didn't. Obviously, it was the expiries on Friday, so we had an awful lot of volatility on Friday. I've got some long-term positions set on the Dow for shorts, ready to play these shorts, but obviously I kicked those in on Friday and just gone into drawdown on those. So I'm just going to let these run for me this morning and see if we can get some downward movement, I think. But I think we should be looking for shorts. If we do break up and do this gap today, I think from there is where we can start potentially looking for short opportunities. There is every opportunity that we're not going to do that gap fill, and we're just going to respect the moving averages today. In which case, obviously, just be looking shorts straight out the box. We've had a little bit of a push down to start with, which has been rejected ever so slightly. We haven't really gone far, but I'll be looking for potentially downside movement this morning. But it's not a particularly aggressive open. No, going to let that play out. Right, let's have a quick look at what we're doing this week while that's waking up. So, starting with commitment to traders report. So, this is quite different to last week. Obviously, with the war kicking in, everything has kind of changed from an economic perspective. The trading conditions have changed. So there's a lot of energy being purchased from different places. There's a different supply and demand out there. And a lot of the big importers and exporters of oil and gas obviously are all changing their views. Inflation is hitting massive highs. There's a lot going on at the moment, and I think the markets are still in a little bit shell shocked and a little bit of confusion. Hence the longer term trading being a bit more difficult at the moment, because obviously we don't know what is going to happen from day to day, to week at the moment with what's going on in Ukraine, and that is driving a lot of the fear in the market. US dollar flipped short. Bear in mind, obviously, all these figures we're seeing are delayed by 1 week. So they're the Tuesday's figures released on the Friday to us. So we're always roughly a week or week and a half-ish behind what is actually happening in the market with the COT report, which is why it's used as a long-term overview. So US dollar has now flipped short. Whether that is going to hold or not, or whether that is just money coming out of the markets and we're just left with the hedge positions in there, it's difficult to tell. Everything else is pretty stable. Pound has weakened a fair bit, still positive though, but obviously we've had that massive decline on the pound. So although there's a lot of open interest long for the pound, obviously it's been doing completely the opposite. So the long-term view is still long on the pound. New Zealand dollar, massive shift. We saw that big strength coming through on the New Zealand dollar and the Aussie dollar. Big shift there. And the Aussie hasn't followed suit. We have had a big scaling out of the Aussie as well, but obviously nowhere near as much as we've had on the New Zealand dollar. So lots of change afoot there. Swiss franc, big change on the Swissy. Swiss franc's usually pretty stable, but again, big change there. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and the COT report at the moment is really sort of sidelined for me, because I don't think we can pay any attention at the moment to long-term movement, because the movement is going to be just shifting with what goes on with the war. The more people are fleeing the Ukraine into other European countries, the more strain that is putting on the Eurozone as a whole. The euro is going to get affected by that as well. So there's too much going on really, I think, to pay any attention to this at the moment. But it is interesting that the US dollar has flipped short. So if we look at the euro US dollar, obviously this is the inverse to the US dollar. It's been fairly strong, the US dollar, and at the moment we're just kind of sitting in a little bit of a flag. But if the US dollar flipping short on the COT report is a sign of weakness in the US dollar, then we could well just see this continue to grind up. But from a technical perspective, we are right at a potential support resistance level here. So we should be seeing continuation move to the downside. We're pulling back up into the 24.72, which is where we tend to usually find some kind of resistance. So very interesting at the minute, but also very confusing as to a directional bias. So not paying much attention to that this week. I'm going to monitor this and just see what impact the rest of the month has on the COT report, and just see whether we get any sort of stabilization in here, and whether the market really is shifting to a short bias on the US dollar, which is quite possible. But of all the currencies out there that are going to survive, this would be the one that I would expect to strengthen. Obviously everything else, they're an net oil producer, richest economy, obviously massive debts, but the euro, the pound and the Swissy are going to be affected much more negatively, I think, than the US dollar. So we should really see the US dollar continuing to strengthen up against the other currencies, that is. Whether or not the market is long on the US dollar isn't actually as relevant as to what goes on with these other currencies. If these are all weakening, this will appear to be stronger by default, won't it? So Anyway, we'll see. News-wise this week, we've got Yen bank holiday today. We've got Lagarde speaking at 7:30. That's already happened. Just a quick look at Euro. Positive Euro. DAX is rejecting there. Look. Difficult. It's very whippy this morning. Big whippy candle just gone in. We got wicks to the upside though, looking a little bit more like a short than a long to me. But gap fill, very difficult. Difficult morning. Could go there, could just collapse. Spread is. Oh yes, size diamond. That's what you said. Read that one already. Okay, so we got Powell talking later on at 4 o'clock, and that's literally all we've got from a news perspective today. We've got Lowe speaking tomorrow morning, Lagarde again, and then Jordan. So again, nothing really newsworthy tomorrow. Wednesday is the first news we have, which is CPI for the pound, and we've got Bailey speaking at lunchtime with Powell. We've got the budget on Wednesday. Budget's a bit of a tricky one. Doesn't tend to really have any surprises in it. The budget is normally kind of known what is going to happen. So, and it's not really something that affects the pound, like fundamentally from that particular day. So you tend to find you will get some manipulation, but it's not something that's generally massive. The budget obviously is a speech that goes on for quite a while. So there's not really anything that will be unexpected in there. It is red. You never know. But so the only news really I'll be concerned with is CPI on Wednesday morning. Crude in the afternoon, and then Bullard. We've got basically talking heads as you can see all week. We've got the monetary rate for the Swiss franc on Thursday. Then we've got PMIs for the euro as well. It's obviously the S&B press conference as well, and the PMIs for the pound, and then that's it for the week. So really, really quiet week. Nothing much happening at all from a large news catalyst perspective. So I would suspect we're just going to see lots of good manipulation this week. Market moving up and down. And really just a case of waiting to see what happens with just the war and what's going on there. So position wise, I've got the EA. So bear with me 1 sec. Where am I going there? I've got the EA running as normal on the hourly and 4 hourly. That CAD yen, still got the CAD yen short, which is the only thing really that I've got any drawdown on at the moment. Everything else is kind of hovering around where it is. Got a couple of positions on, taking a Swiss yen on the hourly as well. So the hourlies I've got running, I've got 2 positions on that. And the 4 hourlies I've got a fair few positions on now, but nothing's really moving anywhere as yet. So CAD yen is what I'm really concentrating on at the moment, and just keeping a close eye on what goes on with that. Obviously the CAD has had a massive push against the yen, although the yen has been very, very weak. So yeah, basically looking for this pullback at some point. We're looking for some yen strength to come through. Looking for kind of a 50% really pullback somewhere into this accumulation, which is obviously the previous resistance turned into support. So I'm looking for a bounce back down to there at some point. But at the moment, it's obviously sideways today. But yeah, that's kind of all I've got on that is got any sort of serious movement at the moment. Can I remind you what IRB stands for? Inventory Retracement Bar. So it's basically a pullback bar. So as we're in a trend, price will pull back. So it's basically the sellers in a downtrend as we are at the moment. Sellers continuing to push, buyers buying back up, causing a minimum of 45% pullback in the candle. So entry goes under the low for a continuation short. Obviously LW is long wick. So CAD Yen is the main issue. That's not an issue. I've got a few positions on it. I've only got 4 on it at the moment. If I have to take another one this week, then I will start to maybe scale out of a few things. But I'll see how the week goes, what other movement we get. I've got 3 short on the yen now, 3 pairs short on the yen. So I'm a little bit overexposed on the yen at the minute. But they are really, really, really extended. So I'm expecting some movement to start to come through. And this week could well be the week, because we've got quite a light news week. We could see some of the manipulations starting to happen across these pairs that we've not had much movement on, like the Swissy. So we could see the market just starting to go back to sort of normal manipulation. It is stabilising, but it's just, at the moment, it's just too much uncertainty out there. It's very, very difficult to know what's going to happen from a day-to-day basis at the minute. One sec. Right, so let's have a look at where we are today. DAX is still undecided at the minute. We've got some nice rejection forming at the moment. Feels short, but just worried about that gap. Right. ADRs, nothing. Obviously, nothing's hit on the weekly. So ADRs pretty much, there's nothing that's getting anywhere close at the moment. We haven't had much movement this morning during the Asian session across the board. So keep your eyes peeled on those. Obviously, anything that does hit ADR this week is unlikely to be due to any news events, apart from potentially the pound with CPI. And the Euro manufacturing and services PMIs. Those are really the only 2 things this week that we'll get some decent movement on. The Swiss monetary policy statement, obviously, that one will potentially have some movement, but those are the only 2 things I think we'll see decent movement on with news from a news perspective. So ADRs this week, if anything does hit ADR, they could well be good opportunities for reversals this week, because we should just see normal market manipulation happening, which hopefully we should see starting to just have normal pushes and profit takes, as we're kind of used to. But obviously, if you do get any ADRs, just check what's caused it. If it's a big spike, obviously, just bear in mind it may be something to do with news in the Ukraine. 4 hours, we've got lots and lots and lots of extensions. Obviously, a lot of this is yen based, which is kind of the same, it's exactly the same stuff as we were really looking at last week. Sorry, one sec, I'm just adjusting another position. Aussie dollar Swiss. We had this big push. We've gone into an accumulation now. So very, very, very nice, strong move. Potentially it's flagging. And looking for potentially another leg up, but we haven't had any real profit take whatsoever on this move to the upside. So again, looking at support resistance levels, we've got really obvious area here for price to come back down to, which is a 38 to 50% retracement on the initial push. So looking for some kind of movement back down to there. We've had opportunities to get into this one on Friday, as well as kind of today as well. But Friday was the main entry on that one. So yeah, sitting in accumulation, just waiting for some movement on this one. Obviously the Swiss franc we've got news on later on in the week, so potentially we could get some movement there. Aussie dollar yen, massively extended. Same, it's these yen pairs basically. Massive movement on these. Waiting for a pullback. Looking for it to pull back into support at some point. There's plenty of gaps on the way up as well. Lots of opportunities for profit taking on the way down. Aussie dollar, US dollar. Again, big extension on the Aussie. You see, the Aussie's been affected as well as the New Zealand. The Aussie always gets dragged along with the New Zealand. And New Zealand obviously is flipped long. So got to be a little bit careful with these, because there seems to be an awful lot of money flooding into these at the moment during the war. Obviously, there's money flying into the Aussies and the New Zealands, so they're strengthening up. But either way, there will need to be a profit take on people that are speculatively getting into these positions as well. So yeah, Aussie dollar, US dollar extended, not quite as far as I'd like to see. I'm interested in 75.25 as an entry level. Not getting into anything that is 70.30 at the moment. I'm just waiting for things to get that one step a little bit more extended. CAD yen. Yep, we just looked at this one. Obviously, massively extended. No pullback whatsoever yet on this. Again, lovely level to aim for. We've got another level down there. Looking at where we might be going on this. As you can see, we're at the top of the chart. So it's basically just waiting for pullbacks. There's no real resistance you're going to come across. I suppose I can't really get out that far. It's not going to get all the way up there without having a rest. So got to go back a long way to find any areas that are likely to act as support resistance. We've got just a load of chop here. There's 3 areas where we were quite happy to trade at previously, which is where we're kind of chopping into now. So there's every opportunity that we'll get the bounce from here. But nothing dramatic that I can see that we're actually aiming for on this one. So just a case of waiting for the market to take some profit on the moves, basically. CAD yen and Swiss yen as well, same thing. Big move up. Swiss franc, we got news this week. So hopefully we will see some movement on the Swissy. The Swissy is difficult. Normally when we get rates as expected, which is what we're going to be getting on the Swissy this week, or should do anyway, we expect it to move in line with COT. But Swiss franc don't really pay too much attention to the COT report anyway with the Swissy, because it tends to get pushed and pulled around a lot. So we haven't seen that happening though. So potentially this week we could get a move in either direction on the Swissy. Logic would dictate, obviously, the fact that we're so extended on this thing that we will get a decent downward movement, and we're looking to come back down into this area here, or potentially down into that gap, but I think probably a deeper pullback on it than that. So looking for some kind of pullback on the Swiss yen as well, massively extended. Anything that's this extended at the moment, if you're getting in and it does push up higher, obviously you're just getting more and more extended, and the further you get that elastic band stretched, the faster the ping back tends to be. When that happens is difficult to tell, obviously, at the moment, because there's more things driving it than fundamentals. So just a case of waiting. Harry, anticipating a buy on US dollar CAD. We'll have a look at that one in a sec. Euro odd. Let's try and find out where we are. So Euro odd. Euros I'm always short on. Euro odd is extended to the downside. So this is one of those, obviously, with the euro at the moment. We've got a little bit of positive movement. We've just come off of this level as a potential support. However, we have just made a new low. So I think potentially this is the bounce, and we're looking for a bit of a pullback and drop. So more likely weakness in the Australian dollar, which will help the euro to push up ever so slightly, but then a continuation move to the downside on this one. So at the moment where it is, it's probably a good little long to take, but very, very short term. I'm not quite sure where exactly you would go. It's been very orderly on the way down, very nicely, evenly traded. So I would suspect probably a little bit of a pullback and then a drop from there. So not really something I want to take along at the moment. Euro yen, definitely would want to take that one short. Nice accumulation going on at the moment. Basically, whenever we get a move in the opposite direction, most of the time it starts with an accumulation or a consolidation. So reversals tend to go into a consolidation, obviously, which is where we get our M patterns forming. We've got a lovely one forming at the moment on the euro yen. We're just not seeing that yen strength coming through at present, obviously, so we're waiting on that. But this is nicely extended. It was further extended last week. So this is where we would have looked to get into euro yen shorts last week. And at the moment, obviously, we are just sitting waiting for something to happen. So, but yeah, looking for short opportunities on that one. We have got extended above the moving averages, but as you can see, this one's been very, apart from obviously the war kicking in, been very, very sort of stable in a range. So we are approaching the highs of the range, or the highest points we've had in those ranges since sort of October last year, September, October. So if it does get any further push, and it's only going to be an ADR push, we should be looking definitely for short opportunities on that one. Every opportunity for this one to make a new low. So again, yen strength, we're waiting on the yen to actually move. And obviously it's bank holiday Japan at the moment. So quite often when we have yen holidays, we do get manipulation in the yen. So we'll see. London doesn't seem to have done an awful lot this morning, though, unfortunately. Nothing's really kicked off with any strength at all this morning. Euro New Zealand, again, extended to the downside. I'll be much more interested in looking for short opportunities. This is obviously the same as the Euro odd, so trade one or the other. Exactly the same analysis on this one. We've kind of done a double bottom, but we have made a new low. Pound odd. So pound, you've got these levels which I drew in on Friday. This is where I would expect to get some kind of bounce. We're not at the moment, and this area here is where I look potentially, if we are going to get continued weakness in the pound, for that to happen. It's a little bit like the euros. So the Euro odd and the Euro New Zealand. We've got the pound odd and the pound New Zealand. They're both doing pretty much the same thing. We've just made a new low here, which is what I was saying. With the pound, it's very difficult at the moment to know which way that is going to go. It's uncharacteristically weak, and it has been obviously since the war kicked off. So just unsure at the moment on what is going on with the pound, and I think the market is reflecting that. For the last 2 weeks, we've pushed down, and we now don't really have a direction. It's been manipulated up, manipulated down. We could just see it come back up and go into a range from here. So if that is going to be the case, this is where you want to obviously be buying it. But where it's going to go and how quickly it's going to get there, very difficult to tell at the moment. So obviously at the minute we are in a downtrend, so we'd be looking for some kind of movement to the upside for the first part of this week. And then potentially we could be being pushed down again. So we'll see what happens with this one, with the pound. But it's very difficult. Pound New Zealand obviously is the same thing, same story on the pound New Zealand. We have made a new low on the pound New Zealand as well. So the market structure obviously is expanding. So we've got an expanding range building, and very, very difficult to trade expanding ranges. Because there's no real direction, no real market structure or directional bias that you can look at and go, yeah, that is where we're likely to go. That is where I should be putting my stops. So from a position trading perspective, though, we'll be looking obviously for longs, which is what we got last time. We got a new high. So if we're going to get that expanding range continuing, we should be looking for a new high. So potentially there's a good long hold on that, but it's going to be 2, 3, 4 day move. And obviously, depending on what happens with the war, could just see this collapsing as well. So tricky. But with the pound and the euro, as I say at the moment, those are the two that are the most difficult to sort of take longs on, I think, just because of the amount of weakness that we had when the invasion really started. We saw such a big drop on them. It's difficult to take a long bias on anything that's had such a big collapse like that. Just watching the DAX on my other monitor, we are making new highs. So it is ever so slightly creeping up. It's very, very difficult. There's our initial range. We are just about making new highs, but very, very, very weak this morning. The DAX is starting to push up now, so it looks like it's going to do that gap fill. When we get to that gap fill, I think potentially we've got opportunity for short there. Pound New Zealand, pound odd, pound yen is the other one I didn't look at, skipped over that one. Again, same thing with the yen. Looking for some kind of strength on the yen. The way the pound is at the moment, these are both going to come down fairly hard when we get some yen strength in. So the euro yen and the pound yen Both got very nicely extended last week. We had a little bit of a pullback. Looked like the yen was starting to strengthen up, but then it stopped. And it's just put in a very, very slow next leg. So, again, just grinding higher, waiting for that sort of drop to come through. New Zealand dollar yen, obviously same as the Aussie dollar yen. These are both the same, okay, one or the other. Big, strong push, waiting for some signs of weakness to come through. We had this last big, strong push up towards the end of last week. At the moment, we haven't got any directional bias this week. So every opportunity for this to start to grind down this week for all of these, basically. New Zealand dollar, US dollar. I'll have a look at the US dollar calendar as well in a minute. Just got up to double top territory. So that started to pull off fairly nicely off the highs. Haven't got a reverse alert on it yet this morning, but starting to show a few signs of weakness. Nice 3-bar reversal there showing during the Asian session. Not massively extended though. Would like to see that one get a little bit further, but from a technical perspective, you've hit resistance. Looking for potentially to come back down to here. We have already rejected that level though, so there's every chance that level is done, and we're going to get another leg higher, especially if the US dollar is going to weaken. But again, we need to see what happens this week. But not quite extended enough for me on that one. Same with the US dollar CAD. We got this beautiful double bottom that we're at right now. So this looks like a lovely opportunity for the US dollar to strengthen up. But obviously, CAD's been pushing down very, very hard. We've had a slightly weak US dollar. But yeah, lovely double bottom opportunity there. Nicely extended to the downside. On Friday, we were long the US dollar. This morning, not so sure. So very difficult idea at the moment to take a long double bottom with the US dollar just flipping so short on the COT report. But again, as I say, it's whether or not you want to take the COT report into account at the moment because of the war. But the market has certainly shifted a lot of money out of the US dollar. But a lot of money's gone elsewhere as well, into the New Zealand and the Aussie. So it could just be that money's been moved that way temporarily, and then it will all come flooding straight back into the US dollar. And obviously, we'll get a massive, massive spike on the US dollar when that happens. But right now, yeah, technically, lovely double bottom opportunity. Nicely extended on the RSI. Not quite extended enough for me. It was on Friday. But we are just kind of basing and bottoming out at the moment. But if this does come down and there's obviously a good chance that we could come down and just do a liquidity run on this as well. You've got this level here, which was a lovely previous support resistance level as well. So we've got this zone really where potentially we could get a bounce from. Failing that, if it does manage to crack through here and continue down, we'll be looking for double bottom bet bounce down there. But if the US dollar gets all the way down there this week against the CAD, slightly worrying, isn't it? But I don't think it will. I don't think it's got enough legs. We're going to need some movement back off of this this initial down move. And US dollar yen, same thing, waiting for the yen. So lots of opportunities there for extensions, mainly the Aussie dollar yen, CAD yen, Swiss yen, New Zealand yen, US yen, everything yen basically. Just waiting for some movement on those things like this. I mean, there's such a long way to come back down now, and that's obviously going to come back down into the 24 zone as well. So really, really big drop opportunity on these, and we've seen it happen many times before with the yen. Just strengthens up, and you get literally 3 or 4 days of just solid strength. So we'll see. So that's all the 4 hours. Hourlies, nothing. Flat. It's the Asian session. It's Monday. So nothing really moved there at the moment. So I just noticed your comment. I'm running US dollar CAD at around 125.95. Middle of the Asian session. 126.45. Yeah, I mean, this one you really need to look at the move. It depends where the end of the move is. If yesterday yesterday's high, Friday's low rather, was the end of the move, which we've kind of double bottomed into today. We've just taken the Asian, we're just pushing down a little bit more. If that is the low, we'll be looking for a really decent ADR move, at least, off of this. 127 shouldn't be an issue. It's just whether or not that move is going to start, or whether they're going to put in slightly more of a leg down and take out the stops here. Obviously, this is the week before last's low. So anybody that's bought last week that hasn't taken profit is trapped in a position now, basically, with their stops under there. So it would make sense to come and take that liquidity before doing a run higher. So there's every chance, I think, that we could get that level taken out today, and then a continuation push to the upside after that, sort of a reversal back to the upside. This is the area that I'd be looking at resistance, which coincides with the 38. So yeah, it all adds up for a nice move back up to here at some point. Obviously, timing is the impossible part, but that's where I think you're probably getting that back up to, somewhere up there. So yeah, plenty of room. 126.45. That's just sort of around those highs, isn't it? Yesterday's high. I think you can easily double that. Could potentially even go higher, you know. But yeah, we'll see. If you look at last move we had down, if I can grab the fib, the pullback we got on the last one was 50%. Yeah, so that initial day move, we had a 50% pullback. Since then, we haven't stopped. We've just been pushing down hard. So you'd be looking for at least that, I think. Probably more likely, sort of back up into the higher levels. But yeah, 38.2, I think definitely is an easy level to reach for on that one. Right, what's the next up to? Okay, gap fill's nearly done. Anybody got any other pairs they want to look at? That's while I'm watching this. So really close to this fill, 144.63 on the DAX. So I think when we get up there, potentially we could be looking for a short opportunity. As I say, we've got this gap. This is what I was expecting us to get on Friday. Was back down to here, and then obviously we had that massive, stupidly strong rally for all the expiries, options expiries, and it just basically didn't happen. So I think this either today or at some point, sort of towards midweek, we should be getting down to that level at least. Very similar to what we had previously. Look, yeah. So we came straight down, filled it. That's what the move I was expecting on Friday, which is why I was looking to short on Friday, but didn't get it. So once we've done this today, we could have a big old drop, well within an ADR, easy to do as well. All the indices having a little bit of a push this morning. Nice rejection there. Not quite filled. Got 2 minutes left on this candle. See what happens when we get to the end of this candle. Just trying to get a bearish engulfing rejection there. Obviously this point here, anywhere sort of around this area, this accumulation from the end of Friday is potentially where we could see the seller starting to step in. So would really want to see that done though to legitimize it, but certainly a big move to the downside starting. What's everybody's thoughts at the moment on the indices? There's a few people saying that we could be coming out of this bear market early, which, don't know, could be. I mean, all the signs are pointing, all the technicals are pointing to potentially starting to push higher. Well, we are starting to push higher, but also we are still very much in a downtrend on everything. Just because we've had one higher leg doesn't mean necessarily that we're going to be exiting this bear market. So we've got some decent levels still that we haven't challenged yet across all the indices. So looking for definitely some kind of pullback at the moment on them all after that strong move. The DAX obviously is a gap fill play. So we've got bearish engulfing going in. We've still got a minute left on this candle. Potentially looks like a good spot to start getting short, but we'll see whether this candle paints. Morning, Neo. Sorry, I didn't see you there. Lost in the comments. Didn't quite get it. Still think we've got a little bit more room to the upside to go yet, but certainly a big bearish move. Just came in on the DAX, but not quite enough. What's going on with our friends over at Bitcoin? Nothing much. Really struggling Bitcoin. Got a feeling we're going to get a pop some point soon on that. Which way though? Difficult to tell. Depends how much the Russians want to buy up in Bitcoin, doesn't it? Moving the money. There's an interesting article somebody posted in the Telegram group actually about the fact that they're linking the ruble to gold potentially. So it will peg to gold, which obviously will help the ruble, but they've got massive stockpiles of gold in Russia. One of the biggest holders of gold, so makes total sense, doesn't it? If your currency is being devalued by the rest of the world, you need to change. So interesting to see how that unfolds. Not that should have much impact on the price of gold, but gold as well, really looking good for a pullback. We had that nice hammer last week in the 2472 area, sitting at this accumulation. Looking good for longs. What's going on with oil as well? So oil's pushing up higher again today. Gapped up as well. God, I couldn't have timed that oil trade much worse, could I? Went long there, had a stop down here. Boom. Never mind. So not much movement on the Dow this morning, in line with the DAX. So it looks like it might be rejecting out there. If you get a it's not a bad looking short where we are right now, but I would probably want to be putting something like 600, 700 pips stop. Just because we haven't done this fill properly yet. But it's certainly looking a bit heavier. What did everybody get up to at the weekend? Anything exciting? Anybody do anything like skydiving, rock climbing? Anything other than going to the pub? Room goes quiet. Okay, so we've got an inside bar painted there. Still looks like we may be pushing. No more bearish price action coming through on that one. 144.63 is what we're looking for. Back testing, well, there's an interesting weekend. I spent many a weekend doing that. Okay, it's just coming back down to retest the 20. Have just made a new low, so we are getting a nice pullback here, but obviously this is potentially just the pullback on the long. It's a good spot to be buying if you're long biased. Orders above the highs. Was that the gap fill? So looking for this level here as kind of a last stop, really. If this is going to continue up, if we break down below this level, potentially we are starting a move down. Selling coming in on the Dow as well. Yeah, we've broken it. So was that the gap fill? Was that all it wanted to do today? Maybe so. Okay, didn't quite get the break below that wick, just about. So this is kind of point of no return, really. Looks short to me from here. I think that might have been the gap fill done. Didn't quite get to what I've got on my chart, but certainly getting some decent rejection from that level. So this is where I'm expecting us to challenge at some point today, assuming that we're going to get a decent move. Obviously, the last 3 days we've had decent intraday movement, but no directional bias. So I'm still expecting at some point them to come down. Obviously, I'm expecting indices to come down full stop anyway, but I'm expecting this level to potentially get hit. So if that is the gap fill done for today, we could well be just starting our move to the downside from here. So good opportunity for starting to take shorts. Market's very, very sluggish this morning, though. It's been very, very grindy, obviously trying to get back up into this gap. So I'll be looking for short opportunities on pullbacks. But looking for basically any opportunity to get in short to get back down to fill this gap. So level on it, I would say, it's basically 14,000 roughly, 14,000 flat, big round number is what we've gapped above. So that's where I'll be looking for a play down to at some point today or tomorrow, depending on how quickly it can get down there, but we'll see. Where's that fib? Let's get rid of that. We'll see. Might just be a deep pullback. Still might want to come up here, but certainly looking heavy now, isn't it? No, it's rejecting. Tricky one this morning. I don't think I'm going to sit here and watch this all morning. I think I'm going to basically just wait for this morning, give this another sort of half an hour or so this morning, just to see if I can get a directional bias on it. I'm just really wary that we didn't quite get that fill. We usually do almost pretty much to the pip get them. We're a bit of a way out this morning, but obviously it's pretty close. So either this is a pullback and we haven't quite done the fill, or the market has decided that is it and we're just going to pull back and short. But I'm a bit undecided this morning, so I'm not going to take any trades on this one this morning just yet. But bias short. So if you want to, what I might do on my other platform is basically get a short position started, maybe under these lows. So break of those lows and basically stop above the highs. So nice sort of starter position, because we've got such a long way to drop to come back down and do the fill. That's a pretty decent risk reward, and obviously you can scale in on it as it comes down. But thing to look out for here is whether or not we make that sort of movement. So I'm assuming if this is the fill, that is our peak formation high for the moment, and then we'd be looking for that sort of movement down. So what you can do, obviously, if we do push up slowly and stay within that range, is you can just drag your pending order underneath the lows of the candles, and obviously you'll get gathered up as we start to drop. But I think that's my play for the morning. It's all just very, very slow at the moment, isn't it? Because we had this gap, we haven't really shot off in any direction. But assuming that we are going to get a nice trend, that's basically what I'm going to be playing this morning. Okay, so as far as ADRs, obviously there's not enough movement at the moment to get the market anywhere. We've got a couple of hourlies that's just lit up, so we'll have a quick look at those. CAD Yen just pushed up, just made new highs on CAD Yen and Swiss Yen. So again, weakness looks like on the Yen this morning. No, that's Swiss franc. Okay, so we've got big, strong Swiss franc this morning. Yeah, Swiss franc movement. So Swiss franc, big, strong movement on the Swissy. All the Swiss, everything will be coming down against the Swissy. So Oz Swiss. So look at the 4 hours. What we've got. Yeah, Odd Swiss. So just better get a reverse alert on the Odd Swiss. What other Swissies have we got? Swiss Yen obviously is pushing up higher, so that's going to get even more extended. Any other Swissies? No, that's it. So just the Aussie dollar Swiss. So that Aussie dollar Swiss, which was just extended. That one was one that we looked at on Friday for an entry short. That is starting to come down nicely now. Don't think I took that one, or did I? Oh yeah, I've got New Zealand dollar Swiss short, and I've got Euro Swiss short, so that's good. So good for my Euro Swiss and New Zealand Swiss. Nice movement coming down on those. CAD Yen still gone nowhere. Okay, so I'm going to call it a day there. That's my plan for the morning, is to short the DAX. So just going to watch it really and just see what happens to this one this morning. I think personally that is probably it. If we continue to make new lows, I think we can safely say it's going to be a short for the rest of the morning. Just obviously be aware of these lows down here, but that's what I'm playing this morning for the rest of the day. Let me just take this one off because I've got this running on my other platform. So yeah, that's the play for the day. Short on DAX, and then just hold it really until we get down to potentially filling the gap that we were expecting to fill on Friday, which we didn't manage to get to. But this is exactly where I'm looking for short opportunities, which is what I said Friday. All of these indices. The fact that the US indices are so extended and have had 4 solid up days of movement, we should be looking for at least a pullback, if not a reversal today. The DAX obviously is sitting spot on 24 support with a gap fill to the downside to complete. And obviously if the other indices come down, that should drag this one down as well. So looking short across the board on these. But we'll see what happens this afternoon. I'll keep you updated in the Telegram group if I spot anything else, but that's the play for today. See if we can get some short plays on these. Depending on how aggressive you want to get, obviously, if you want to get in now, stop there. But I would probably get a stop above these highs, at least somewhere up here, depending on how aggressive you want to be, just in case that does get taken. But at the moment, we've got fairly nice head and shoulders forming as well, so looking short. All right, I'll be back at 1 o'clock this afternoon for the New York session, but hopefully you have a good morning. See if we get some movement on anything else. That's coming down hard now. I haven't really got anything else moving on the FX pairs at the moment, so decent movement on the DAX and the Dow. Let's just have a quick look at the news. What was that? I haven't got my financial juice open this morning. I wasn't ready this morning. Nothing. There's no news. That was just literally price action. So decent downward movement there. Hopefully that will continue. So holding that short. Yeah, see if we can get some decent moves down to that gap. Loads of room. Loads of room. So potentially a really nice high risk reward trade there. Okay, guys. So I'll leave it there this morning. Anything else you need, come in the Telegram group. I will be in there. I'll be back at 1 o'clock this afternoon. We'll have a look at the markets this morning, see where we've gone, see if there's any profit taking done on the 4-hour and the hourly trades. Yeah, and then have a look at the afternoon session for the DAX, for the Dow, the S&P, and the Nasdaq. All right, have a good morning. I will see you at 1.